Alright folks, so in this particular lecture I'm going to introduce you with Oracle Linux that is basically enterprise Linux servers that you can utilize for Java full stack web applications and so on. It's critically important because the more you understand about Oracle Linux, the better you are in terms of becoming a full stack Java web application developer, utilizing it in a server, an enterprise server. Okay, so this is a Debian 13. That's where I'm sitting at the moment. So I'm going to jump right into Oracle Linux, which is actually into my Proxmox virtual environment. And from there, as you can see, this Oracle Linux is a beautiful operating server, okay, Linux server. Okay, basically Red Hat families. Okay, so I'm making a lot of videos these days about Red Hat families. So it is basically Red Hat. So let's jump right in and take a look into the interface. So this is basically a NOM interface, and this is exactly the same thing that you can see in your Red Hat as well. So we're not going to dwell too much time on these particular interfaces. Most of our work will be going to be command line. So we're going to jump right into the command line first. So this is the command line terminal window you get. So we're going to make some adjustment in here. So this lecture is pretty cursory lecture for people who wanted to get into Oracle Linux. Okay. And this lecture is going to be pretty much applied to whoever wants to work with the Red Hat Enterprise Linux or even CentOS, or even in some degree some other Oracle, the Red Hat family, like you can talk about Rocket Linux or Alma Linux and so on. So from here you can see this particular hamburger in here. Okay, so this is basically several different parallel bars. Just click that. I think it's called hamburger, and you go into preferences right here, and then we're gonna go into unnamed things in here. Click unnamed and then drop it down and rename that, and I'm going to rename that to Bushcat. Okay, so you can choose whichever name you want to choose. Okay, and then we're going to come in here, we're going to do custom font, check that up, and then we're going to change that the font size. Actually we're going to keep it mono space is fine, we're going to make it 15. Okay, so that's we're going to do first. Okay, and click select it right there. And then we're going to go to the color sections, and we're going to change that default interfaces to different NOM, and we're going to make it NOM dark. Okay, and you can see the change, it changes the terminal panels anyhow. And then the text, we're going to change it to my favorite color, which is basically kind of a very lime bright green, and click select, and then obviously pretty much looks everything's fine now. And I am going to go into the scrolling button, so uncheck that because I don't want to limit it to only 1000 or 10,000 lines. Okay, so it's going to be unlimited, and click OK. So now it looks a lot better. So this is your interfaces. That's what you're going to spending a lot of time as a Java full stack web application developer, and even in some degree sysadmin and DevOps if you are going into that directions. But this lecture is not about sysadmin and DevOps. This lecture is not about Java full stack. This lecture is actually introducing you about Oracle Linux, which will help you along all these domains. So you're talking sysadmin, Red Hat sysadmin, or in Linux sysadmin. It can help you with DevOps. It can help you with Java full stack. So from here we're going to type who am I, and it tells you the username is Megan, which is one of my cats across the rainbow bridge back in 2020. And from here you can do host name, and then it tells you localhost.localhost. What it means? It means it's basically a network name. Okay, so it doesn't have any name I've chosen when I install it, so it automatically by default chosen that name. I don't think it actually allow you to choose the name when you actually install it, but in some degree, as far as I remember, Red Hat does, and you can actually choose your name. Domain name is called domain name. So okay, so this is something that is not really important, but you have to look into it. When you install it, you can actually change the domain name to your own preferences. So from here I can do something else. So if I do cat sc, and this is important command because if I type Red Hat in here, it's gonna tell you this is actually Red Hat Enterprise Linux 9.7. So Oracle Linux is basically Red Hat. The good thing about Oracle Linux, you don't have to go into subscriptions. So if you want to go for Red Hat, there's a myth that you have to pay for it. You don't have to pay for Red Hat, but you have to have developer subscriptions. Basically, you have to open up an account with them, free. Basically email account, and then you can go into that. And then you have to subscriptions. You have to actually maintain the credentials into the Red Hat when you update the system. Okay, but you don't have to go through these hassles in Oracle Linux, but it is Red Hat. There are absolutely no differences between them two, and this is more hassle free, but both are free. Okay, so if you're working for a big company, they're gonna pay for it, so you don't have to worry about it at all, but you can actually install it in your home lab without having any issue. Both Red Hat, Alma, Rocky Linux, Miracle Linux, Oracle Linux, and so on, they're all free. They all can be installed into your server. So a lot of people have an idea, oh no, it's very difficult. It's not difficult. This is the right way to go forward, guys. If you want to go for a Debian server, that's cool. If you want to stay with Debian, that's cool. But Debian is a different family. Okay, so we're not going to go into all the details right now. So just stay with this. So we have sorted one thing out. That basically means we look very nice. Our interface is nice. The font size is bigger, and we can see a lot better now. So from here, so the first thing I'm going to do is basically I'm going to type another command, and this is basically lsb, and it may not work, lsb release -ac. Okay, and that command actually it works. So it is telling you it's Oracle Linux 9.7. Okay, so it gives you different versions of that, and you can also do CAD. It's not a different version, sorry, it is actually telling you it's Oracle Linux. So it is not it is Red Hat, it is Red Hat based, and it is Oracle Linux. And then you can do OS version as well. OS release, sorry, and then you can do that, and it tells you a lot more information. It is based off Fedora. Fedora is the testing ground for everything, and it gives you a lot more information about Oracle Linux is 9.7, which is Red Hat 9.7, and so on. So we get it out of the way, and we can do df-h. This is the important command, and this command tells you how the hard disk has been laid out. Okay, or in my case, it's a virtual disk. And as you can see, I got 13 gigabyte for roughly 14 gigabyte of media storage Oracle. So this is a different disk. Okay, well, basically a different partition of the same disk. Okay, not different disk, sorry. So this is something that you need to look at. So my target, not in this lecture, at one point in the lecture we'll make another lecture where I'm going to show you how to actually create a secret file transmission protocol. And this is not going to be a lot of videos you see on SFTP or secret file transmission basically showing up in the root directory, which is cool. But I don't want to do it in a root. I want to do it. I want to point out the path in that particular path where I want my secret file transmission, secret file transfer protocol or SFTP to be pointed out to 13 gigabyte. Okay, so this lecture is not going to cover that, but it is important to know how these things has been laid out, the partition of the disk, LSBLK, and it gives you a lot more information about your disk and how the disk has been laid out. So SDA means the disk, okay, solid device, and then you have SDA1, that is one partition, okay, and that partition is the boot partition. As you can see, this is 1 gigabyte of boot, and then we should. One thing you must remember that if you're actually installing it, I would not go for 1, I would go for roughly 3 gig, because 1 gig is actually a lot less. I put it out because I'm doing it for making videos. So I'm not doing it like a really testing environment, making Java full stack web applications. If you do that, then you really need to put boot partition, I would say 3 gigabyte. Okay, don't put more than 3 is fine. And then you have your SDA2, that's the second partition, and that partition is a logical volume manager. As you can see, it has been nicely laid out in LSBLK. Root partition have a 70 gig, which is cool, and then we have a home partition, which is 5. But if you're doing it in a commercial environment, enterprise production driven, then I would say you need more than 5 gigabyte of your home partition. I would put something like 30 gigabyte of home partition, okay? And then I created a partition which is basically SDA5. And this partition is actually 14 gigabyte, and I call it a storage Oracle because I'm going to put a SFTP server in there, basically pointing that server. So this is something that you need to look at just to get some basic ideas. But from there, we're going to go into more details now. So we're going to update the system. The system has not been updated for a while, so I want to do that. But before I do so, I can do NeoFetch as well to see. It is showing you this Oracle Linux, and it is quite good. And if you do, I'm not sure if screen fetch is actually working, but we can see. So here I made mistakes in spelling. Don't worry about that. Screen fetch and see what happened. So the screen fetch command is not found. We can do fast fetch. These are all same like NeoFetch, so don't worry too much about it. And fast fetch actually work, and it's a lot more information, a little bit more information about the system. So it says that you have it is running in a KVM QEMU standard piece, but basically it is a virtual environment. It's Oracle Linux server. It's a NOM desktop environment, and it also mentioned about your IP address that you need to really think about. Okay, so your IP address is 192.168.1.216, and we can check that in here, hostname -i, and it will tell you the IP address 192.168.1. But if you do curl ifconfig, then it tells you the external IP address, which is a dynamic IP address that changes every after 4 or 5 months, and it came from your internet service provider or your network ISP. Okay, so these two IP addresses you need to understand a little bit of network, and basically if you are creating a home server or LAN, then you have to focus on this IP. But if you go outside of your LAN, then you have to focus on that. And we're going to try to cover that bit a little bit in this lecture as well, because we want to actually connect to a different server. And I'm going to try to convert in a Debian server as not as a local area network. So this is not possible unless you actually have a Tor server running into your Oracle server. Okay, so Tor is basically redirecting your IP addresses so that your internet service providers think that you are actually outside of a local area network, and then you can actually connect to a server as like a remote host. That's what we call it. But that 192.168.1.216 is LAN, a local area network, a local host. Okay, so these are the two things that you need to understand, but let's see how much we can get through it, because I don't want to make the lecture long, like more than 1 hour. I want to wrap it up roughly around 40-45 minutes. And let's jump right in and do su-l to become super user. And then once we do that, and then we are in the root directory, we're going to clear this screen, give some breathing space, and go cd root to become root. And if you do ls-l, you see all the file systems of your Linux server, which is basically Linux. Okay, and it is pretty much the same for Debian as well. So from here, I'm gonna do clear the screen, and we're gonna dandified lion, which is basically YAM. YAM was Yellow Dog modifier. So it has been changed to Yellow Dog update modifier, and that's been changed to dandified YAM. Okay, so we call it DNF. And we're going to do DNF list upgrades to figure out whether there is any update in it. But these Linux servers or Red Hat servers will come up with all different servers, and it has figured out all these different packages that need to be installed. And you see one or two things in here that's really important to understand, that EPEL means extra package for enterprise Linux. These are not come with Oracle Linux or Red Hat. You'll have to integrate them. They are third-party software packages. Okay, so I probably made a video in the past how to integrate them. So you have EPEL, you have, actually I can show you another command, DNF repo list, and that will show you a little better, then you'll understand what I mean. So you can see here extra package for enterprise Linux, and you also have RPM Fusion. So these two will not come when you install Oracle Linux or Red Hat Linux. Okay, or Oracle Linux or Orion Falls Linux, they are all Red Hat families. And then you have Alma Linux and Rock Linux. You will have to integrate them, and they're very easy to integrate. Okay, I probably will make another videos at one point to show you how to integrate them. They're third-party software package repository that you actually need. And then you of course have Unbreakable Enterprise Kernel, or UEKR8. That's your Linux kernel, and that comes with your Oracle Linux, and that's why I prefer 5% more better in terms of Oracle Linux as opposed to Red Hat. Okay, so let's jump right in and update the system. So we're going to do DNF upgrade. Okay, but this time no plural, just upgrade. Okay, and hit enter. And what's going to happen, it's going to take a while to upgrade the system because I have not upgraded. There's 1.2 gigabyte to upgrade. So press Y, hit enter, and I'm going to start the process of upgrading it. Okay, so I'm going to give it a bit of a shot. I may edit the video just to ensure that this part, that what you're saying, is basically cropped out from the main video, so that you don't have to waste time to see how the update is happening. So it's gonna take roughly 5-10 minutes or maybe more. So that part of the video will be cropped out, if I can. If not, then I'll just leave it there. If it goes for 1 hour more long video, then I will not do it. I will probably crop it, but if it's less than 1 hour, then I don't need to do it anyhow. Let me just drink my beer, dude. Yeah, it's coming out nicely. It's just downloading all these packages that need to be downloaded. And I specifically left it for a few months not to actually download and update the system, because I wanted to show you the processes, and it's important that you know how things is actually working out for you. This is my cat, and her name is Grace. Yeah, she likes hanging out in my desk because that's the way, you know, the cats are very friendly species, and they like to stay with you. You know, most of the time they sleep, and when they get up, she just got up and she decided to come and sit at my desk for no reason. As you can see, she's around. She's a proper sweetie. Oh, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. You're a proper sweetie. Oh. As you can see, it's gone to 67. There's a lot of directories that need to be resolved. I think I'm not gonna edit this video because my cat just came in, so I wanna show my cat. You know, I don't wanna miss out my cat. Okay, my cat is very important to me. Yeah. Oh yeah. You're my sweetie. Oh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh So we're going fast now, 273, which is not bad, near to 296. Then the scriptlet will kicks in, and then we're going to do the scriptlet to make sure that everything is installed. It's going to take another 10-15 minutes maybe. But it's worth it because you're learning something by looking at all that, what is going on in here. Because scriptlet is already running some of this scriptlet. So as you can see, it's running scripted. As I mentioned, it takes roughly 5 to 10 minutes more in terms of getting the scripted running and getting all resolved in terms of updates. And the reason I put it out in this video is basically you need to understand how is update the systems, and it will happen if you don't do that every day. Then it will happen every after 5-6 months if you leave it. I don't know when I left it last time, so that's why it's taking a lot of time. But that's cool. Okay, I'm not fussed for the time, so it's completed now anyway. So we're gonna do some hard work now. So let's jump right in. Let the command prompt back. It will be back in 2 minutes, 1 minute maybe. And when you will get back, we will do some more work. So you can see the new kernel has been installed. So we're gonna do some more work now. It's unbreakable enterprise kernel modules. Okay, so you got unbreakable enterprise kernel modules for these ones. And this is really good stuff. Okay, so the kernel version is 5.14 Linux kernel. Okay, and we got a lot of work to do. Here we go. So now the first thing I'm going to do is going to clear the screen from here, and then we want to see open SSH is running. So basically we're going to see the version. So do SSHD -v and see what happened, and it's going to tell you nothing happened, so that's fine. Do SSH -v, and then it will tell you open SSH is actually running. Okay, so well, it's installed for sure. So we can do systemctl status SSHD, and it will tell you it is active and running. That's pretty good news. So from here we need to actually utilize the SSH services to jump right into a Debian server. Okay, and this is a local area network, so basically I'm doing it from my host name -i from this server. Okay, so you have to understand this two factor here. Okay, so let's jump right in and do SSH to Debian server. So I'm going to do SSH. Okay, and then my Debian server's name is Yuki, is the username, which is one of my cats. Okay, and then 190 and I'm plugging it the local area network address. Okay, so 247, and hit enter. And the first time I'm doing it because it is asking for SSH key, and that's fine. I'm going to put up the password right here, and you can see it just jumped right into Debian server. Okay, so if I do clear the screen, I will do cat-etc, and if I do OS release, and it tells you it's a Debian GNU Linux, you can do cat also etc Debian version, and it tells you Debian 12.13. You can also do lsb release, as I mentioned before, and that's AC, and then it tells you it's a Debian GNU Linux. You can also do neofetch. That gives you some nice idea about is a Debian GNU Linux. So we're in a different server altogether. So while we're in that server, you're going to do su-l, okay, and then do the root password. So you're actually remotely accessing a server. This is what you're going to be doing most of the time if you become a sysadmin per se. And then we're going to do apt update. Okay, so this is not DNF because it's advanced package technology. Okay, and see what happens. There's 6 package to upgrade. While we are there, we're going to upgrade the system there. So you're actually doing everything in a local area network. Remote means local area network, so you can be sitting in a different side of the office and doing it in a different side of the office. Okay, so that's local area network. So we're not doing anything remotely. By remote word is kind of ambiguous because you can be sitting in a different side of your office and it is still remote, but it is in a local area network. By remote, usually people means that you are actually outside of your local area network. And that is something that we will try to figure it out. But you cannot sitting in your own ISP and try to get remote. That's not possible. So we're gonna have to get around to it, and by the way you get around to it by utilizing Tor browser, not browser, sorry, Tor server. So we're gonna try doing that. Okay, so let's see what happens. So we are in the so we do apt auto clean to make sure that every file that we notice, so it's all these files that are residue has been deleted, and then do apt auto remove. Okay, and that will remove all the files, and that's all cool. So clear the screen, and then we're going to exit from here. We don't want that anymore, so we're going to exit and we back to our root in our Oracle Linux. Okay, you can do that. You can see Oracle Linux. We're back to Oracle Linux, and from here we can actually type neofetch, as you know, and it will tell you that this is Oracle Linux. Okay, and that's all cool. Okay, so from here you can actually do screen fetch as well. Like I say, screen fetch is actually a little better, I think. Right, screen fetch is not available, don't worry about it. You can do DNF search screen fetch and see whether we can find it. I don't think it is available. Okay, I don't think it is available. It's looking for it. DNF search. Let's see if we can find high fetch. We may have high fetch, which is quite cool actually, to be honest with you. If I do high fetch, we don't have high fetch at the moment, but we can actually install it later. So we do fast fetch. I like fast fetch because this one has given you information, a little bit more information about it, disk sizes and everything, etc., etc. So we have this IP address 192.168.1.216. Okay, so from here I'm gonna do something little advanced and see whether we can work it out. So we're gonna do DNF. So we're gonna do tar version. So we need tar server. So tar -- version, and see what happens. And it tells you install package tar to provide command tar, and I'm gonna go with Y. Okay, you can do that way, or press N, and you can do a different way. You can do DNF install tar. Okay, and hit enter, and it will install the tar server, hopefully. Here we go. We found tar, and that's a tar socks is there as well, and that will definitely, when it comes with EPEL, and that's why you need that third-party packages, extra package for enterprise Linux. And why we're doing that, and I wanna emphasize in that very clearly, because mimicking a systems, that what I meant by that is basically mimicking. You wanna go remotely. That's what I mean. You're not in your internet service provider anymore. We are doing everything outside of a local area network. So we're gonna test it. We're gonna test it for SFTP server that I'm running in Debian 12, and also I'm gonna test it SFTP server running in FreeBSD server. Okay, in my Proximus version. I'm gonna also test SSH to access my Debian 12 server. Okay, so these are the objectives that we need to follow, and we do it remotely outside of local area network. Okay, so while we do that, is this okay? Yes, hit enter, and now the tar server is going to be installed, and this is really critically important that you install the tar server. Okay, and this is not a Tor browser. Don't get confused about Tor browser. This is a Tor server. There's a big difference between Tor server and Tor browsers. If I do systemctl, now what we need to do is basically make sure that it is enabled while it boots up every time. And we're going to do Tor systemctl, enable Tor. Okay, and this is enabled, so that means every time we boot Oracle Linux, it will be enabled. So now we're going to clear this screen and then do systemctl status tar. Okay, and it tells you service is loaded. It says inactive. It should not be. So we can do systemctl enable tar. Okay, I think we need to just reboot the system, but I think we should be okay. And hit tar version -- version, and the tar is there. So what we need to do is basically, it happens sometimes because of the terminal issue. So we're gonna exit from here and exit from here. Okay, and tar definitely should be working just fine. So we go back there and we go back in here. Now we have a new terminal window, and from here if I type systemctl status tar and see what happened. It's loaded, but it is inactive or dead. Right, okay, so let's jump right in and look into that file. So we're gonna go into su-l, okay, and do, and then do cd root, and we're gonna do nano, and then we're gonna go into system Unix system resources lib, and then do systemd, and then do system, and then do hit enter. Sorry, and then do tor.service and hit enter. And now in here I think we need to change certain things in here. So we have disable things going on somewhere in here. Let's take a look. Well, I think everything's okay. Everything's okay. I'm not sure why this is happening. So the other thing that we can do is so what we need to do at this point, I'll just ask a message to my friend who is also system developer, so she probably know better how to do that. But in the meanwhile, I'm gonna do reboot, okay? And if I reboot the systems, then hopefully it may just work out. I do not know. Okay, so this is the screen what I wanted. So basically Oracle Linux is rebooting, so it's a bonus that you actually see how it's reboot as well. Hit enter, put the password down there, and then hit enter and see what happened. So now we are in that screen. So what I plan to do from here is I'm going to go into in here and do systemctl status tor. Let's see what happened. Here we go, it's active now. So as you see that, you know, the problem was basically you have to reboot the system is working. um, So from here, as you can see, the Tor browser is working. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna do some advanced work now, because the lecture, I don't want to let lectures too long. So before we do so, I'm gonna quickly jump right into Proxmox, and I'm gonna, this is the beauty of your Proxmox hypervisor, type 1 hypervisors. You can actually run several operating systems at the same time. So I'm gonna do FreeBSD. Okay, so this is where I have SFTP server as well. So I'm gonna run SFTP and FreeBSD. Okay, so let's jump right in and do FreeBSD. Okay, this is one of my favorite servers actually. So when it comes to that screen, I want number one. So it's multi-boot interface. Okay, this is the shell server, so you're not going to see any desktop environment. So from here, I'm going to log in from here. So I'm going to do login leopard. Okay, and then put the password right there. So this is my BSD server. Okay, so create this screen, and you can do a neo fetch in here as well. And you see, it will tell you it's a BSD server. Okay, I think you cannot do cat etc. I'm not sure actually. cat etc. OS release maybe. Oh yeah, you can do that, and you can tell it's FreeBSD server. Okay, so from here, what we do need to do, we are running FreeBSD, and we have the SFTP server as well in here. So I'm gonna quickly jump right back to my Oracle Linux server. Okay, and I'm gonna try to get into our SSH by Tor. So first of all, what I want to do is I'm gonna take it one thing at a time. Okay, so let's jump right in here. Okay, so we are in our Oracle Linux server. Okay, so from here, if I just type neofetch, I'm gonna show you that we're in Oracle Linux server. Okay, so I'm gonna clear this screen. So the first thing I want to do, I'm gonna locally connect with the server. Okay, so this is basically SSH, and that's very simple, and we know it's leopard, and then we also know the local IP address. And how we know that? Because you can check that in your, if you go into FreeBSD again, let me just show you how to do that. You get a little bit of more idea. So we get here, clear the screen, and do netstat, that's a different command, -rn, and it can tell you the local host address, which is 192.168.1.175. Okay, so we go back to Oracle Linux, and bear in mind we are all doing it in a local area network setting at this point. Okay, so from here, if I type 192.168.1.170, plugging in this number, I'm gonna ask you the password, because we're doing first time. Yes, and then we do the password, and then you are actually in your BSD server, but you did it in local. So if you do neofetch in here, it tells you that BAB. You can do actually screen fetch or fast fetch. I think it's a lot better, and then it gives you a little bit more information, and it tells you that IP addresses that we just plugged up. Okay, so from here, I'm gonna clear the screen, and then I'm gonna get out from here, and we have done that as local. But what if you're outside of your local, but you want to imitate that or mimic that by sitting in your local ISP? That's where Tor comes in. So we have done the Tor, so we know the Tor browser is actually in here, Tor dash version, and it is actually working. Systemctl status, sorry, Tor, okay, and it is active and running. Just Control C, clear the screen. So we're gonna do it Tor mimicking. So I have an IP domain already figured out. So it's bluebonnet.serverftp.com. So what I plan to do now, I'm gonna go to the FreeBSD server by utilizing Torify. So that is basically outside of your local area network. So do Torify, and then the command is SSH, okay, and then obviously you have leopard, which is the username, and then it's going outside of the local area network. Why? Because let me just show you this way, then you will understand better. Curl ifconfig.me, then this local particular, this is external IP address. This is not the same as what you see in here. Hostname -i. This is not the same, right? Okay, so this is the IP address is given by your internet service provider. So this can be this can have a domain name. So in my case, the domain name is bluebonnet.serverftp.com. Okay, so this is what you're doing, mimicking outside of your local area network. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to Torify it. So do Torify, okay, and then do SSH, and then do leopard, which is the username of the FreeBSD server. And then we're going to do, instead of doing the 192.168.1.175, that is a local, we're going outside of a local, that number, you know, that 89 or something, whatever it was. Okay, so that number is basically my domain name. So we do bluebonnet, as I said, that's my domain name, which is basically that IP address. Okay, so bluebonnet.serverftp.com. okay, so this is the server name -p. Okay, you don't have to have a capital P for that, and I have the port remapped. Okay, so the port was 190, basically this is to port 92. So the port has been remapped, and the port remap is 6966. Okay, and then it's gonna do the same thing. Okay, and it's gonna ask me the password. Hit enter, and fingerprint needed it, so press yes first time, and then it's gonna ask you the password. So I'm gonna put out the password. Hit enter, you are back in leopard. So now you're doing it outside, and you tested it just by sitting inside in your houses in ISP. But Torify did the job because it actually redirected, and your ISP provider think that you're outside of your local area network. This is critically important. So we're gonna do a couple more things before we end up finishing this lecture. So I'm gonna clear this screen from here. You are actually in your, so you can do fast fetch and press enter. You are in the BSD server, so clear this screen, but you did it from remote, you know, so you're not in your local area network. Clear this screen and exit. And what we want to do is basically we're going to test it for our Debian 12 server as well with Torify. So we do Torify. Okay, well, do SSH first. So let's just do SSH first. So we're going to do uKey. We've done that before, I think. 192.168.1.247, and hit enter, password. And this is your local area network. So you are in Debian server, you can do neofetch right here, right? Okay, and you can see your Debian. So we're going to clear the screen from here. Okay, and come out from here, but we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to Torify it. Basically means you're outside of a local area network, and very simple, Torify. And we can all do with Torify, because thanks to my good friend Jill, who actually helped me to actually install Tor server, because I didn't really particularly knew about any of that in the past. Okay, so from here we're going to do uKey, plug in your domain name, bluebonnet. So before Torify, sorry, you have to put SSH in here. So the command is SSH, Torify SSH, uKey, bluebonnet .serverftp, okay, .com, and then -p, and then the port has been remapped. Okay, so the port for your uKey is 2040. Okay, and hit enter, and the first time. I did not expect that. Right, okay, let's just do with the other one, see what happened. I clear the screen. Should not be doing like that. Verify SSH, and then we have pushcat. This is Debian 13 server, okay. Blue bonnet. It could be SFTP.com -p and then 2030. Let's see what happened. Yeah, so this one connected just fine. I don't know why the other one did not connect it. And then the password right here. So this is your Debian 13 server, and we connected just fine. So if you do cat, let's see, OS release, it tells you it's Debian 13 server. Okay, you can do neofetch as well. Neofetch command not found. Oh, okay, so you don't have neofetch. You can do high fetch actually. In Debian 13 you don't have neofetch, so we can do high fetch and see it's a Debian server. So that's fine, but the thing that I did not understand, that I couldn't manage to go to Debian 12 server, so let's just jump right in and do it again. It could be the port issue. Let's just do it again. Verify SSH, and then we have uki at bluebonnet.surftp.com, and then -p, and then we have 2040 port name. Okay, and hit enter. Okay, it's working. I think I made some kind of spelling mistakes or something. Okay, and then put the password right here, and you were in Debian 12 server, so we can check it. LSB release, bit sluggish, SC, that's fine. And as you can see, it's Debian 12 server. You can do also neofetch now, because Debian 12 has neofetch. You can say Debian 12 server. So we've done that. So the last thing I want to do is basically I want to test my SFTP server. So I have two SFTP server, secret file transmission protocol, that has port forwarded, so I can actually remotely access it. One is in Debian 12 and the other one is in FreeBSD server. So we're going to do the FreeBSD first, and then we're going to do Debian 12, and then we're going to conclude the lecture right there. So from here I'm going to exit, and I'm going to back to my Oracle Linux. Okay, so that's my Oracle Linux. So from here again, we're gonna do, the first thing we're gonna do is basically locally do it. So we do SFTP, okay, and this is secret file transmission protocol. And in our cases, we are looking at we were looking at the FreeBSD server, okay, or FreeBSD server based SFTP. So we do SFTP, and then the username Bushmaster, okay, and then and we know the IP address 190.168, the local address 1.1.175, and hit enter, and it will ask you the password. Okay, this password is different. So this is this, okay, and then hit enter, and you are in SFTP. If you do pwd, you are in the remote. There's nothing there because I didn't put anything there, and you can do ls-l. This is your root directory from there, okay, and then you have cd upload. There's nothing there. What it means is basically I have not put out anything. So if I put out anything in there, and if I shared this link, basically I've shared that IP addresses in a local area network, people can do that. But we want to do that outside of local area network so that people can actually access it. Not all people, the people I like to share with files, okay? So we can do that as well. So now if you do ls-l, you will not see any file because I have not put out any file. So this is tested just fine. So we're going to exit it from there, clear the screen, and that's a local one. So let's just do Torify it. So we're doing it outside of the local area network. So how are we going to go about that? So we do Torify again, okay, and this time SFTP, not SSH, okay, and this time you have to get -p as a capital P this time, okay, and we do 6966. This is basically port map to 100, you know, that 175 address that is in port map to 66. Well, port 32 has been remapped to 6966. Let's just put it that way, and do Bushmaster at bluebonnet. Why we are doing bluebonnet server? Because that is actually your external IP address. Do you understand that? .com. Okay, so that basically you are asking to SFTP connections outside of a local area network, and hit enter and it will ask you the password. Okay, so the password is hit enter. Here we go. So you can actually verify it outside of the local area network as well. So we're going to exit from there, and the last bit is basically we have another SFTP server in Debian 13, and I'm going to test that as well. So we do SSH locally, so we do SFTP, and then obviously we have our local SFTP address. So it's basically SFTP user, SFTP user, okay, and this is running in Debian 12, so 192.168.1.247, okay, and then we're going to put out, and you can ask you the password. And hit enter. So now you're in the SFTP again, but this time you are in the local area network settings as well. Okay, so there's nothing there, so I don't want to go too far. CD do ls-l, and there's uploads and CD uploads. There's nothing there, so that's fine. Nothing to worry about. ls-l. So we can put our file there, and I can actually make another video, but this video is getting longer and longer, so I don't want to make it too far. Exit. So this we done it in a local. So let's just do it outside of a local area network and test it. So we do verify, and now this time plug in your SFTP -p, a capital P, okay, and then 2040 is port forwarded, remapped port forward, and then SFTP user, okay, and of course your domain name, bluebonnet.servftp.com, okay, and then you hit enter and it should ask you the password. Okay, so put the password right there, hit enter, and you're back in SFTP again. So I hope this lecture has done it all in Oracle Linux without any issues. So I'm gonna clear the screen, and I think we concluded a lot. We covered a lot of things in this lecture. So we're gonna exit it from here, and then we're gonna see how long this video lecture has gone. I don't want this lecture too long. Okay, 1 hour 1 minute. I told you it's gonna be 1 hour 1 minute or something. So I'm gonna finish this lecture. Have a good day.